Summer had just begun, and with no school and no job, I was king of the castle, well, my parents' castle at least. They were out of town for a few days, a familiar routine that usually meant movie marathons, video game binges, and the glorious freedom of being a teenager left to his own devices. This time though, things took a turn. I was curled up on the couch, a rerun of my favorite show flickering on the TV screen while I absent-mindedly scrolled through my phone. It was late, somewhere around 11 or 12, when a sudden rapping at the front door shattered the comfortable silence. Pausing the show, the lateness of the hour finally registered in my sleep-deprived brain. Better safe than sorry, I tiptoed over to the peephole. Two figures stood on the porch, clad in matching outfits, expectantly waiting for a response. Should I answer? The question hung heavy in the air. Ultimately, caution won out. Instead, I played a waiting game, hoping they'd get the hint and leave. A tense few seconds ticked by before one of them called out, their voice muffled through the door. "Hello. We're here to see Mr. and Mrs. Ian," they announced, using my parents' aliases, for obvious reasons. Confused, I stayed put. This was way too late for any kind of legitimate visit. Another minute dragged by, filled only by the nervous hum of my thoughts. The men exchanged a glance, muttered something inaudible, then retreated from the porch. The porch light cast a limited glow, making it impossible to see where they went. No car lights flickered on, no engine roared to life. Had they walked here? The thought scared me so much. Back to the TV I went, but the comforting glow of the screen did little to ease my pounding heart. I left the sound muted, straining my ears for any sign of their return. Sure enough, within minutes, a new sound filled the night, footsteps circling the house. They stopped at the porch, but this time, there was no knocking. Instead, they moved with a chilling purpose, heading towards the side of the house. Adrenaline surged through me, and I bolted towards the back window. Peeking through the blinds, I watched in horror as they effortlessly scaled the fence and entered the backyard. Heart hammering in my chest, I ducked away from the window, the sounds of their muffled conversation and fumbling with the back door echoing through the house. This was it. Seizing the opportunity, I grabbed my phone and sprinted towards the garage, the sanctuary of locked doors and, hopefully, a working phone line. With shaking hands, I dialed the police, breathlessly reporting a possible break-in. The response was swift. Less than a minute later, the silence of the night was shattered by a loud bang, the back door splintering open. Footsteps pounded through the house, ascending the stairs towards the bedrooms. A door creaked open, then slammed shut. Silence. An agonizing 10 minutes stretched into an eternity as I waited in the darkness of the garage, the only sounds my own ragged breaths. Then, blessed sirens filled the air. The police arrived, and a flurry of activity followed. Footsteps pounded on the stairs again, this time accompanied by raised voices. An officer appeared at the garage door, ushering me out into the safety of the night. The apprehension dissipated quickly as the officers apprehended the two men, who offered no resistance and remained stubbornly silent throughout the ordeal. Weeks passed, and while it seemed clear this wasn't a simple robbery attempt, the only charge that stuck was breaking and entering. But the unanswered question lingered: why? Why my parents? And the most terrifying thought of all, what if I had answered the door? Living on the outskirts of a mid-sized Wyoming town has its perks. Huge plots of land are readily available, unlike most places. My house might be small, but for a solo dweller like me, it's perfectly cozy. This all happened back in 2019, during a particularly rainy spring. It was a Sunday, and I was enjoying a lazy day at home, catching up on TV. Around 6 or 7, an unexpected knock at the door cut through the drumming rain. Surprised, I opened the door to find a complete stranger, not the mailman or anyone familiar. Seeing someone approach my house, especially this far out, was unsettling to say the least. "How can I help you?" I asked cautiously. The guy looked to be in his late 20s. He claimed to be camping nearby and ran into some trouble. Apparently, he needed a place to crash for the night. Considering my isolated location, his story seemed plausible. I was the closest house within a 5 or 6 mile radius, at least in the direction of the woods. The pouring rain tugged at my heartstrings, but letting a complete stranger into my house wasn't exactly a risk I took lightly. Instead, I offered to call him a cab to town. He refused bluntly. With a mumbled, "Thanks anyway," he turned and headed down the dirt road. He veered off a few moments later, disappearing into the woods. Eerie, yes, but I brushed it off and went back to my TV show. Time blurred. It must have been at least a couple of hours later, well into the night, when an orange glow caught my eye through the rain-streaked window by the backyard. Curiosity piqued, I approached the window, peering through the rain and fog. There it was, a campfire flickering defiantly under a large tree, seemingly oblivious to the downpour. And next to it, the unmistakable outline of a figure holding something I couldn't make out. Was he facing my house, or back towards the woods? Uncertainty gnawed at me. After a moment, I pulled the curtains shut and reached for my phone, dialing the police. Explaining the situation, I knew it would likely take them a while to get to my place. While whoever was out there wasn't causing any immediate harm, I certainly didn't want them hanging around. After hanging up, I peeked out the window again. The fire still sputtered, but the figure was gone. Then came the sound, footsteps approaching the house. Heart pounding, I raced to the other window, catching a glimpse of him walking past, a hunting rifle clutched in his hand. He turned the corner and disappeared from sight, reappearing moments later at my front door. Several loud bangs echoed through the night as he pounded on the door. Silence followed. Grabbing my self-defense handgun from its hiding place, I cautiously moved towards the door, fear a cold knot in my stomach. What had started as a strange encounter had escalated into a full-blown nightmare. He slammed against the door again, this time with the butt of his rifle, nearly shattering a pane. In that split second, I knew I had to act. Raising the gun, I fired a warning shot towards the door frame, the deafening bang momentarily robbing me of my hearing. Silence. Only the relentless rain remained. After 5 agonizing minutes of waiting, I gathered my courage and peeked through the peephole. The porch was empty. Outside, muddy footprints led away from the house. He must have bolted after the shot. The police arrived shortly after and conducted a thorough search. By the campfire, they discovered a duffel bag, recently unearthed from a makeshift burial spot. The bag, they revealed, contained burglary tools, or possibly even a murder kit. Whoever attacked me had planned it, they'd been near my house before. Why they targeted me specifically remains a mystery. For years later, the identity and whereabouts of my attacker are as unknown as ever. And the unsettling feeling that he might return lingers every single day, a constant shadow over my life, even in the comfort of my own home.